First card. Second card. Third card. Fourth. Fifth.
My name is Adrian Green, and this is my informative speech on vitamin D deficiencies. I'm sure we all can remember back to 1993 when the Got Milk commercials first aired. These commercials were not made just to get us to go out and purchase more milk. There in fact was a method to the drink more milk madness, and you'll understand why after this presentation. First, I'd like to tell you about an article I read in The Guardian that was published on December 9th, 2011. This article was about a young couple named Rohan and Chana. They were accused of murdering their 4-month-old son, Jaden. The couple had brought their son to the doctors with a common cold. After further examination, the doctors realized that Jaden's tongue was stuck to the roof of his mouth. They had immediately taken the parents into custody, fearing that abuse was the reason for Jaden's symptoms. This takes me to my topic, which is vitamin D deficiency. I'm going to tell you about how vitamin D deficiency is making its comeback, what it can do to your body, and how you can keep up with your vitamin D intake. With the knowledge we have today and the technology we have today, I'm very amazed to hear that we have a problem such as vitamin D deficiency, because we had this problem over 100 years ago. Vitamin D deficiency was a big problem back in the 1920s. We were suffering through the Great Depression, so there was a lot of malnutrition and sickness going around. Mostly all the children and a lot of adults were suffering from vitamin D deficiency at the time. Now, according to research done by the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, 7 out of 10 U.S. children have low levels of vitamin D today. These findings were reported in the August 3rd, 2009 journal Science Daily. Now that you know vitamin D deficiency is making a comeback, I'm going to tell you what this deficiency can do to your body. Vitamin D deficiency can be very dangerous. It can cause a bone disease called rickets. According to the Columbia Electronic Encyclopedia, rickets can soften your bones, have abnormal bone growth, and it can also lead to skeletal deformation. According to Dr. Bhatia, who is a medical director of endocrinology at the Children's Hospital in Oakland, California, he's personally seen 59 cases of rickets since the year 2000 at that hospital. Now, not only can vitamin D deficiency lead to diseases like rickets, but according to an article in the Annals of Internal Medicine written by Cora McGreevy and David Williams in October of 2011, vitamin D deficiency has been linked to hypertension, myocardial infarction, and stroke. Well, now that you know what vitamin D deficiency can do to your body, I'm going to tell you about how you can keep up with vitamin D intake. I'll be the first to admit, I'm the parent who tries to keep my child inside most of the time. I like to slather her in sunblock just to make sure that she doesn't get any skin cancer when she goes out to play with her friends. Now, this unfortunately can be a common mistake that most parents make that can lead to vitamin D deficiencies in children. According to the CNN Health website, an article written by Denise Mann on August 3rd, 2009 states that the sunshine vitamin, which is also known as vitamin D, is only made in our body when we're out in the sunlight. And it takes about 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight to make adequate amounts of vitamin D for our body for a day. Now, vitamin D can also be found in food naturally, or it can be added to it later on. According to Dr. Drenzer on UpToDate.com, a major source of vitamin D is food. It can be found in fish, milk, or soy milk. Unfortunately, breastfeeding in breast milk, it doesn't have a lot of vitamin D in it naturally, but nowadays doctors are recommending that women take vitamin D supplements that can increase the levels of vitamin D in their milk. Also, baby formula has added vitamin D to increase the levels as well. It's recommended that all the adults have an intake of 800 internal units of daily vitamin D, and kids have an intake of 400 internal units daily of vitamin D to have adequate levels of vitamin D. Now, if you can't get your kid to go outside without slathering them in sunblock like I can, then I recommend using Flintstone vitamins. They are a good source of vitamin D, and my daughter loves those. She eats them like candy. So now you know that vitamin D deficiency has made its comeback. You know what it can do to your body, and you also know how you can keep up with your vitamin D intake. Unfortunately, if doctors had known this information, they might have been able to save baby Jaden's life. Eventually, the doctors did realize that baby Jaden was suffering from rickets, and the parents were eventually, the case was dropped, and they were dropped of all their charges. But if they had known themselves, or even the doctors had known, then they might have been able to prevent the problems they went through with the trial and the heartbreak of having to miss out on their child's passing because they were in jail. Thank you.
First card, my second card, my third card, my fourth card, my fifth card, my sixth card.